Let's take a look at Dogecoin. Last time we looked at Dogecoin was on November the 11th. Here is a quick recap. And the key price I have is still at around 27 cents. Those need to trade over that and stabilize over that in order for us to look forward to those trending upward. Now, when we look at this chart, the negative indicators are those is still within this death cross, the 50-day drop below the 200 days. And so far, the gap is still getting wide. Why? Because every time when the price spike up, then it retraces after that. Those need to stabilize and then slowly trending higher for the 50-day to continue to trend upward and for the 200 days to trend downward, so we can get rid of this death cross and turn into a golden cross. But this is not going to happen soon if those continue to retrace every time after a major spike up in price. The second thing is the volume is still very low. Another thing is right now, those is trending below the support trend line. That is not a good thing. However, there are also positives indicator as well. The first thing is technically Doge is still trading over this resistance trend line of this symmetrical triangle. So Doge is technically still in this quote-unquote breakout mode. And the Bollinger Band is forming out very nicely. So the chart is setting up for those to run up. It's just the problem is the momentum, the volume isn't there. There's no volume, and without volume, we don't see this sort of spike up. So in summary, to be honest, I don't really know what the heck is going on with Doge. But here's the key. Doge needs to be able to reclaim the support trend line. So the idea is trade at or above the 10 days moving average at about 27 cents. Fast forward, this is the daily chart for Dogecoin, and the date that I have is to 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on November the 20th. Last time when we look at Doge was on the November the 11th. That was one day after a major drop in price where Doge dropped to about 23 cents. The following day, Doge rebounded, and at one point it was trading up almost 8%. Ran all the way to 27 cents. Doge tested the support of this upward channel. At that point, I was hoping that there would be enough buying support to allow those to continue to trade over this support trend line. If that was to happen, then we would likely see this upward momentum as indicated in my prior video. But unfortunately, those get rejected at this point and ended up closed the day below the 10 days moving average. Since that day, those continue to struggle. Every time when it attempts to test this red line, it gets rejected. And then on the 15th, that's when Bitcoin started to go through this retracement. That dragged the price of Dogecoin down. Dropped below the 50 days moving average, which is the white line, and then officially closed the day inside this symmetrical triangle. Very much negate the possibility for breaking out of this triangle. And now the price is trading within the symmetrical triangle, and those is struggling to try to break out. One of the problems I see with Dogecoin is this. Let's compare Dogecoin versus Bitcoin. This chart here compares Bitcoin to Doge. Bitcoin started to retrace around November the 15th. As you can see, there's a big price dip for the following 5 days. And whenever Bitcoin retraces, Doge follow. But here is the problem I see with Dogecoin. When Bitcoin stabilize and trend up, just like what Bitcoin is doing today. As you can see, Bitcoin is trading in green. And yet Doge is still struggling and is still trading right now. It is trading down over 1%. Also, if we look at the prior time frame around October, when Bitcoin went on this very nice bull run, Doge was not really doing much. And the problem is this, it's all because there is no buying support. The buy volume is very anemic. There's no buyers out there to support this run up in price. When we look at Bitcoin, we see volume pick up, the spike up, We don't see that with Dogecoin. No volume at all. So the problem with Doge is Doge decline when Bitcoin decline. It doesn't do much when Bitcoin goes on this bull run. And that's why we see the price of Doge very much struggling. And the trend has been downward. So now Doge is struggling. If we look at these major indicators, the biggest problem I see right now is the 10 days moving average now just crossed over, and now it lagged behind the 50 days. This is definitely a very bearish signal, because the last time when the 10 days dropped below the 50 day, that was around the middle of September. And after that, we saw the price of those continue to retrace. And fortunately, it found support right at the support of this symmetrical triangle. So there is a very high probability that we would likely see the price continue to trend downward. And hopefully, it would find support once it tests the support of this triangle. Because if there is no support, then we are at risk of a major price breakdown. Looking at the stochastic oscillator, right now Doge is definitely in this oversold territory. So in the near term, I do believe that there is a very high probability that we're going to see those rebound and trend up. But the minute it tests the 10 days moving average, given the fact that the volume is still very low, I don't believe that Doge could be able to cross over the 10 days and the 50 days and continue this sort of like quote-unquote breakout from this symmetrical triangle yet. Very likely it will get rejected and then retrace and then retest the support of this triangle. Now, if we look at the triangle, and if the pattern continue to follow this, the apex would be right at around the middle of December. And given the fact that right now, technically, Doge is in this very bearish mode, we have this death cross where the 50-day crossover and lag the 200 days. And then now, the 10 days is lagging the 50 days. So there is a very high probability that from now until middle of December, which is where this apex would likely occur, those would likely very much trading sideways but trending downward. That is assuming that the price does not break down once it tests the support of this triangle. And right at around the middle of December, we would likely see those either break to the upside or break down to the downside. And I am betting on the price would spike up instead of break down. Why? I will explain that during the next video, because this video is already too long. In summary, we would likely see those bounce up in the short term, but the minute when it tests the 10 days moving average, it will get rejected. Why? Because the volume is still very low. And right now, those is still in this situation where the 10 days lag below the 50 days. Those would likely retrace and then eventually retest the support of this trend line. So from now, for the next few weeks, I don't expect to see the price spike up. And that will not happen until we see the 10 days reverse direction and then lead the 50 days. That's it for this video. And don't forget to click that like button and reward me with a like if you appreciate the content that I'm presenting. Also, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and subscribe, and make sure you turn notification on. And if you have Twitter, make sure you follow me at Vietmaxim, because I provide constant update on all of our favorite cryptos.